GetCrack. Wake up, motherfucker.
A vibe shift in this country, captured by the election in early November, and also based on the content that people are consuming right now, including Landman. And in Landman, you see a much more pragmatic approach to things like fossil fuels, oil, and energy, and the kind of work that your company does. Do you think we are seeing that, a more pragmatic approach to the energy story now?
I think there's no question we're seeing that. I mean, you know, take a look at this administration that has come in, and rather than criticizing and almost in some ways ostracizing oil and gas, it's an administration that has talked about American energy abundance and using that to the benefit of the American economy, the competitiveness of American business, but not just oil and gas. You know, the grid is a big thing for the administration and power generation. And so I think we're seeing a more balanced conversation. It's something I've been calling for years is, you know, in energy, there are three things that matter, John. Affordability, because that underpins economic prosperity. Reliable supply, because that relates to security and national security, and then environmental impact. And we have to balance those three things as we talk about energy. The conversation had become very unbalanced and focused on one of the three and not the other two. And I think we're seeing a move back towards a more balanced, and you use the word pragmatic. I think that's a very good word for the shift that we are seeing.
We definitely are hearing the shift in the conversation. We heard that at Davos, even though you weren't there. We missed you. I am curious about how much that translates into actual changes that you're making on the ground with how much you're investing, how much you're planning to expand your footprint in the United States and elsewhere.
Yeah, we grew production last year 7% globally, almost 20% here in the U.S., largest production we've ever had in our history. Largest cash distribution to our shareholders. So we are growing. We're also doing it in a more capital efficient way. So we've been focused on getting more bang for each dollar of capital. You guys were talking a lot about capital this morning. And in a capital intensive industry, we have to always look for ways to be as capital efficient as we can be and as disciplined as we can be. And so we're able to bring new energy supplies to the market at a lower capital investment rate than ever before. We'll grow again this year in the United States, another 10% or so in the Permian. So demand for energy is at an all-time high, and it's only going up.
Last year, you had a record production, even under an administration that had a very different tone toward the oil and gas administration, the oil and gas industry. I just wonder how the vibe shift will change what your outlook is at a time when the rhetoric has shifted to the positive, but some of the proposals like tariffs might be headwinds in certain places.
Yeah, so I think your point's a good one, Lisa. The rhetoric kind of sets the mood music, but you actually have to see policy, right? And some of that's done through executive order these days. A lot of it would be best done through legislation. And we would like to work with both sides of the aisle to implement durable, balanced and pragmatic energy policy. Things like permitting reform, which have gotten a lot of conversation, but we really haven't seen action yet on that. And it's difficult to build anything in this country, not just pipelines and infrastructure for our industry, but new power generation and grid modernization and other types of infrastructure. So we hope and are certainly willing to work with parties from across the spectrum to try to turn some of this or more balanced conversation into what we think is good, durable policy.
Next guest leading an international supplier of LNG to China and the broader global market. Shell CEO Wael Sawan joins us now. Wael, it's great to have you back on the show. How do you think, first of all, the trade fight between the U.S. and China and potentially broader than that is going to impact oil prices and production?
I think what it'll do is we're going to have an extended period of uncertainty and I suspect some volatility. Supply chains are rerouting. You see energy markets are rebalancing at the moment. And of course, the threats of sanctions and tariffs and challenges in certain global arteries like the Red Sea just means that we're trying to find a new equilibrium to be able to deliver energy. The biggest question is going to be the impact on the economy and what that means for markets. as a company, what we have really focused on is building resilience in the company. And you'll have seen from our results last week, the big focus was really continuing to deleverage, have the strength to be able to actually weather whatever uncertainty brings in the next few years.
Does it get offset for you at all by the fact that, the Trump administration has been very bullish on further LNG expansion?
No, I think and that's one of the things we welcome from the incoming administration. The role of LNG is going to be critical for the coming years for multiple countries. So I do think what is going to be key is making sure that we find those balances. And we are indeed one of the largest players, the largest international energy company in LNG. And the key is having multiple supply points, of which one is the US, but there are multiple other supply points, and making sure that we are able to actually match our customers' demand with the supply that we are able to access.
What do you see on the demand front at this point?
We continue to see strength. Actually, we see right now tightness for the coming year at least. There hasn't been a lot of net new capacity coming through in 2024, and we're not expecting a lot of it in 2025, though the demand continues to strengthen, driven by things like, for example, LNG into trucking in places like China and India, but also industry. And you see that happening across the world. Europe, of course, is growing its demand for LNG because of the interruption of Russian supply. So we are bullish on the growing demand for it. And at least in 2025, the markets will remain tight until new volumes come through from Qatar and the US.
Well, have these new wrinkles in sort of the evolution of technology and DeepSeek and so forth pushed you to reconsider your long-term power forecasts, at least for North America?
I would say the picture is still evolving. What is clear is that the demand for energy is going to grow, and that AI and what it brings will undoubtedly have a strong push on that demand. The question is just the quantum. Is it going to be a doubling or a tripling between today's demand for data centers by 2030? And so it's really more the range, not the direction. What we are doing is making sure that for all the opportunities we are pursuing, both in the renewable side as well as gas supply, we're locking them with customers whom we trust to be able to have a long-term perspective on this, and managing through that uncertainty in a way that allows us to manage the risks that come with the volatility that's ahead of us.
So at this point, the investments and the CapEx and the build out, you don't think we're in the neighborhood yet of being over our skis over the long term?
Difficult to say. The approach we're taking, I have to say, is one of more of this disciplined approach at the moment. I mean, we're slightly sort of controlling more of the capital because what we see is that uncertainty that I referred to earlier. And in a period of uncertainty, my own belief is focus on what you can control and build resilience and strength, because you don't know what the weather of tomorrow is going to bring. That doesn't mean we miss out on opportunities, but we also have to be able to sort of keep an eye on where things are going. And at the moment, it's just too foggy to be able to make a call one way or the other as to what the trajectory is going to end up being in the next few years.
What about Russia, Ukraine? What are your expectations of what's going to happen there? And what's the impact, if any, on your business if they do come up with some sort of deal?
Again, difficult to call exactly what will happen there. I mean, what's clear is that let me focus on the energy bit of it. From a gas perspective, Europe really needs gas, which is why these LNG flows into Europe matter. And of course, the sanctions or the potential extension of the sanctions on Russian oil, not to mention Iranian oil, will also create some imbalance in the crude oil markets. And so we're the largest energy trader in the world, and we're beginning to see some of those disruptions play through. Now, of course, while that creates uncertainty for people depending on oil and gas, for the largest energy trader, it creates opportunities as we look to rebalance those trade flows around the world. So we see quite a bit of opportunity as well emerging from that as we monitor the situation and try to understand the discontinuities that are taking place.
I mean, the other big wild card, of course, is the Middle East, and President Trump sort of renewing maximum pressure on Iran, talking yesterday in a joint news conference with Benjamin Netanyahu about the U.S. taking over Gaza. I just wonder how you are calculating what's going to happen there and what it means for oil and gas production and supply.
We haven't seen a huge impact even through the very difficult last couple of years in the Middle East, we haven't seen a lot of interruption to physical supplies of crude. It's been more than plugged by many other locations. And so we see that less in terms of the physical impact on crude. What it does, of course, do is the uncertainty that plays out there and the potential spillover impacts around the world, including economic impacts. That is more the area we look at. So a proxy we keep a very close eye on is, for example, demand in China, how the industrial sector is behaving in Europe. Those are the second order influencers that we keep an eye on, which I think will impact, at least in the medium term, the demand for energy.
Well, there's also OPEC, right, and how that might affect their strategy and how, I mean, President Trump in his Davos speech said he's going to pressure OPEC to lower oil prices and ramp production. What do you expect to happen there?
All I can expect is what I'm hearing from OPEC as of their decision, was it earlier this week, which in essence is they're going to continue with the plan that they had. Clearly, the key elements, of course, that are impacting the overall picture at the moment are Chinese and global demand, and the decision by OPEC. Once again, I mean, our focus is what we can control. And so what you find is as that uncertainty continues to unfold, all we can do is to make sure that we have more and more points of supply that we are able then to link to the multiple customer connects that we have. And in a world where those connects become tougher for others to be able to deliver on, that's where Shell can differentiate itself and where we are trying to position ourselves as a company, that connector of energy between suppliers and customers.
A lot of moving parts. Wael, thank you for taking the questions. So much to get to today. Appreciate it.
Nordisk reporting better than expected fourth quarter net profit this morning, but the company did forecast a slight sales slowdown this year. Joining us right now to talk more about it is Novo Nordisk's CEO, Lars Fjorgard Jorgensen, and our CNBC Health and Pharma reporter, Angelica Peebles. Angelica?
Hey, Becky, good morning. And Lars, it's nice to see you. Thanks for joining us on this busy morning. Now, this morning on the call, you said that you're seeing about 200,000 weekly prescriptions for Wegovy in the U.S., and that's double what you saw last year. But there's a lot of concern out there about your ability to stay competitive with Lilly and if we're seeing a slowdown. So what are you seeing and how are you going to stay competitive against Zepbound?
Well, we have a fantastic product, and I think so far what has really been gating the market performance is the availability of supply. And of course, in the beginning of the year, you often see some formulary changes that also move the scripts a bit. So we are quite confident that as we move into the year and we'll be supplying more and more of our starter doses, we can see a nice step up in our volume and serving more and more patients. And the guidance we have given for this year also, you can say, testifies to an underlying significant ramp in our business. So we're quite confident both in the demand in the market and also our ability to supply and compete in that market.
And I want to talk about the pipeline for a second, because it's been a rocky few months for you with some of the readouts that you've had. So between CagriSema and amycretin, how do you anticipate that you're going to stay ahead, and where should we really be focused right now?
Yeah, I think we had the opportunity on our just completed conference call with analysts and investors to really explain that when you have a potent biology like what we see with CagriSema, it's important to understand that you actually amplify the difference across patients. So what we see is that there are a group of fast responders that really lose significant weight loss, actually more than 25% throughout the trial period here, and many of them are approaching a BMI where they're no longer obese. And then we see also a subpool of patients that continuously keep losing weight and actually have not plateaued at the end of the trial. So they need, say, longer treatment. So I'm very confident in the potency of the biology we have here. And we also showed some data that is actually very well tolerated from a GI side effects perspective. So CagriSema is strong, and we'll do some more data to show that. And then we also seen amycretin in a phase 1A, 2B study. 1B, 2A study, really showing a very, very nice weight loss over a 30-some week trial period. And we hope that we, in dialogue with the agency, can find a way to move into full development of that relative shortly. So a real strong pipeline to compete with for the near-term future. We've also just started phase 1 trial of a triagonist. So again, a next generation compound looking at 3 biologies in one molecule. So I'm really excited about our opportunity to drive growth in this space.
Lars, I'm curious about pricing, particularly in the U.S. If you look at the price of your drugs in the U.S. versus the rest of the world, they are, as is typical, much higher. And typically healthcare insurance plays a role in this. But look at the average price in the U.S. is $969. In France, it's $71. What do you see going forward on pricing, and could that have an impact on margin?
Well, I think it's important to note that here you're actually comparing apple and pear, so to say, because, for instance, the German price is actually on a low dose, not the high dose, whereas in US it's pricing before rebates. So these are not fair comparisons. What I see in the US is that pricing is coming down. It's typically seen across all categories that you launch at a relative attractive price, but then you give rebate concessions year over year, and net price moves down. And for mature products, pricing in the US is actually low compared to Europe. So if you look at insulins, for instance, what government pay in the US is actually lower than what governments pay in Europe. So it's a different market structure. But I think it's a known structure, and I think it works because we also bring products that drive down healthcare costs by serving some of the comorbidities that actually leads to the highest part of the healthcare cost in a country like the US.
And on pricing, of course, Wegovy and Ozempic were selected as part of this next round of Medicare price negotiations. You've been through those negotiations before. What did you learn from the first time around, and how do you anticipate that this negotiation will actually change the price of those 2 drugs?
Yeah, that's right. This was largely anticipated based on the success of these products in the market, making it one of the big drug categories. So we had all along anticipated that. And as you say, we had a prior experience with our insulins. And overall, I think we managed that quite well. It has changed a bit, say, the gross to net model for insulins. Instead of having a list price and rebates, you trade on a net price. So I think there are a lot of learnings there. And if you look at our GLP-1 business, of course, it's only a smaller part of our overall book of business that goes to the government. There's still a commercial channel. And of course, we also have the innovation we talk about. And there's still a very large volume opportunity. We are only serving today around 1.5 million people living with obesity in the US. And we have access to 55 million of those. So there's a volume and there's innovation play that also means that I believe we can handle the IRA. And as long as you're innovative and you serve big markets and untapped opportunities, I think this plays out to the benefit of patients, healthcare systems, and also our shareholders.
And have you had an opportunity to speak to the new president or the new presumptive HHS secretary? And if you haven't spoken to them, if you were able to have that opportunity, what would you ask them, or what would your priorities be?
So I have not had such an opportunity, but I have noticed that there are many similar objectives. As a company, we are investing significantly in the US. We have more than 10,000 employees in the US. We have a number of expansion programs going on. Just one announced a few months back is a $4.1 billion CapEx program taking place in North Carolina. I've also noticed that there's a key interest in say, health and dealing with chronic diseases. That's, the purpose of our company. So I think we have many overlapping objectives. And we are happy to engage with any policy maker in any country in how we can join forces in achieving these, what I would say, win-win-win. Win for the patient, win for healthcare system, because you forgo some of the comorbidities that are associated with chronic diseases, but also win for the economy in terms of increased economic activity level. And when you create all those win-win-wins for society, obviously we'll also be winning as a company. So I think this is a really good, topic to have a debate on.
What's up? It is February 5th, 2025. All right. So if you guys got some goodies from yesterday, I think you're a big time winner. DNA was up. QQQ had a nice little drop because of all the bad earnings from yesterday. It hit 520. Those will watch. Let me see. Okay, hold on. Let's see if the internet's working better. Looks like the Wi-Fi, getting my solar. All right, let's see. Connection. I think the connection is still weak. All right, whatever. We'll have to suffer through it. Okay. QQQ back up to 526. And let's go look at hymns. So we had that video about Novo Nordisk. And hymns kind of hit 4% and pulled back. So I'm not sure if this is the end of the hymns run. So we'll have to think about that. And then we have, let's see. Novo Nordisk. Okay, Novo Nordisk. Yeah, let me reset my router or whatever, because this ain't gonna work here right now. All right, hold on. All right, let's play some background music. I'll come back. Yeah, I don't know. It seems a little still too weak. All right, whatever. You'll have to make do, guys. I'm outside and all that, so you're gonna have to make do. Okay, let's see. Novo Nordisk. Yeah, it had a little pop. Nothing really interesting, so I wasn't too interested in that. But yeah, I'll keep watching it because we're at that kind of 79 area that I was looking at yesterday. But yeah, HIMS, I think we're at the kind of a peak area here. So tomorrow will be Eli Lilly, LLY earnings. And so we'll see how that goes. That's the competitor of Novo Nordisk. They'll have something to say about their drug. And that'll affect whatever HIMS is doing. Because if you remember, HIMS makes the generics, okay, for versions of all these weight loss drugs. All right, so the other ones, DNA, very good. So if you got in yesterday or whatever, yeah, that was a 15% pop. All right, so I gave you a freebie. I don't know if it's going to keep on going like this, but what I'm seeing right now, and DNA is Ginkgo Bioworks. And what I'm seeing right now is biotech sector, growth sectors are all flying because I saw ATAI psychedelic drugs. It's been up, I think, let's see, was it up? God damn, yeah, it's been up quite a bit. Okay, 7% today, 21% yesterday, 19% on Monday. Yeah, I'm not sure why, but all right, I'll take it because I've been talking about this one and MindMed, MNMD. And I think this one, there was some kind of drug result last week, but I don't know why it decided this week to start moving up, but okay, whatever. Delayed reaction, who knows? But I think I can see why all these sectors are moving up because yields are going down. So bond yields are going down. So we see that. All right. Okay, let me see. What else? Yeah, MindMed. Let me look at MindMed for you guys. MNMD. Yeah, same thing. It's moving up all this week. So there must have been something happening. Maybe it was during some kind of talk with RFK or something. I can't really say why it's doing this. But hey, I've been last year, like these two type of stocks are what you would hold in some bucket of penny stocks that could be high flyers in the future. And I think it is time. It is time for the psychedelics to go up. So yeah, I'll read a couple articles sometime down the line here. Maybe but I got to go through all these tickers for you. SMCI, again, up this today. So added on from yesterday's move, 8.6% yesterday. Now we are 8.4% as of now. It was up as high as 10. So this thing, SMCX, if you did that, you would have had 20% on top of what you had yesterday. So 2020, yeah, this was great. This was a great trade from Monday. So if you listen to me on Monday, bought that dip, 50 to 60% for you right there. Okay, good. What else? MSTR will have earnings after the close. So MSTR, Michael Saylor's little piggy bank into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is quite weak. As you can see here, I'm not very enthusiastic about the way this thing's been moving since that dip on Monday. That was easy. You get that like an overnight dip on Bitcoin, but MSTR, yeah, it had a nice rally from there, 308 Monday morning when it opened. But right now it's stuck, waiting for earnings, waiting for Bitcoin. Not really too bullish about it, but I mean, I have some leftovers from Monday that I'm just going to leave for overnight. Let's see what happens after the close. It will report earnings. Another one reporting earnings, Coherent. Coherent is Stanley Druckenmiller's little favorite toy. They do optical fiber networking for data centers, and it had a strong reaction on Monday, okay? So let's see how that goes. Oh, hold on, I got a phone call. Okay, that's junk. Okay. Yeah, it's moving up since then. AOI, same thing. It's in the related, but this one does a Thursday next week or 2 weeks from now. So this one, yeah, this one's more volatile AOI. So you can trade it in a range from 24 to back to 40, but outside of that, I wouldn't put too much stock to it. It might really roll on whatever Coherent says, okay? But yeah, let's see what happens overnight. I don't know. Maybe I'll play it tomorrow or something if it happens. But otherwise, don't take it too seriously. We're running out of days in February right now. We're gonna have to wait for the Friday unemployment payrolls data. All right. See what else we got on the list. Covered that. CLS. I didn't play this one, but I talked about it. So if you guys played it from last week on that crash because of DeepSeek, negative 28%, you would be up after the earnings last week. Let's see, 60% too. So yeah, there's a lot of stocks. Palantir, CLS, all of them. If you bought dips during last week or 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, they gave you 60%, and that's just by stock price, right? If you did options, like who the heck knows? That's probably insane amounts of money were being made and that on those dips. Now let's go over a little bit on the earnings. Google down. Snapchat, it was actually up overnight, but it collapsed in the morning. AMD down. Yep. Uber this morning down. All these are down about 7% each. So yeah, amazingly, the Nasdaq just shrugged it off and try to push through. So hopefully on Friday with the payrolls, we can keep on moving. And then we'll look at small caps. Small caps right now, IWM, Russell 2000, 228 on the ETF. We have to break 230 for me to believe anything happening right now. XBI, same thing. It's held 90 at 94 and 95 right now. Still has to room. It still has to go to 100. And TLT right here, the bonds, I showed it already, but here for you guys to remember, it has to get to 92 and above. If all these guys can't do any of that this month, forget it. Get ready for a March rollover, right? Or if it's worst case, then like the third week of February into the fourth week, we're already seeing weakness and this thing can't even do anything, then yeah, it will be a deeper correction going into March. So expect a deep correction going into March. But for now, in February, if we assume everything hits, then you can trade a lot more. We already see 60% gains on a lot of stocks already, right? So yeah, if you pick the right ones, you're doing quite well. If you pick the wrong ones, like here, Google, Snapchat, AMD, Uber, yeah, you got nothing. You got nothing. Let's see, what else? Okay, I'm going to talk. Okay, I talked about that. I talked about some gold too yesterday. I talked a little bit about gold. So I'll cover these three utility stocks. HE, these are trash. Very trash. And this year I was saying, like, if HE, Hawaiian Electric, hit around 7, close to 7, I'll be buying. So it was almost getting there, but it stopped right at 8. So then it went right back to this level here, 9.5. You see that orange line bounce right back down from it, and now right back at 9.5. I think if it crosses here, yeah, Hawaiian Electric probably can continue on back up to 13, 15, 17, right? So I played this last year from 7 something to 17, and I made a joke on those late night John Galt shows. I said, hey, you know what? You want to short a stock? Short it right here at 17. Damn, it went rolling right back to 9 in 2 months. Okay, but you know, I'm not an aggressive type of guy to short a stock like that, but all right, whatever. If you did that, congrats to you. PCG, PG&E, California. So I was talking about it when it hit 16. It tried to get back at 17. I bought some at 16, right? 16, 15, 16. And then it dropped below. I bought some more here, right? So 15, 16, 2 areas I bought. Now it's trying to make its way back up to 16. Watch it. Take your time. There's no rush to buy these. The other one, EIX. So this one is the real Edison International. This one is the one that people are worried caused the wildfires, and they'll get a big fat lawsuit. Okay, whatever. I'll take a chance. I bought at 55 here. It tried to come back, crawled back down to 52. So take your time with these. If you're a risky person, put some money in EIX. If you're not if you're risk averse, go to PCG. Okay, PCG is Northern California. So these people are probably so dumb they don't know the difference between Northern California and Southern California. They just see California, they see wildfires, they look at the news, they dump everything that has California on it. PCG is safe from being blamed for the wildfires. EIX, still to be determined. The CEO keeps saying they didn't do it, but there is an investigation with some of their equipment. So if they are not found innocent, so that's, yeah. But if they are found innocent, guess what? EIX is gonna rapidly go back to 82. Okay, so those are the things to watch if you are playing around. But Hawaiian Electric definitely, I think it's gonna go up anyway. It's past the whole Maui fire thing, so I don't think they can get sued as much anymore. Everything's already been settled as far as that. I think there's some delay in the court trial in Maui. You'll have to look at it. I'm not following the legal situation there as closely. Okay, so gold. Okay, gold. Last thing to talk about is gold. AIG. Okay, is AIG or something else? I forgot. AEM. Okay, so this is my pick for gold. Kinross Gold. Okay, a KGC. So today it's up 3%. And then I played yesterday some Samantha LeDuc, and she had AEM. So that's up 2.79%. AEM. I think that's Agnico Eagle Mines Limited. Okay, and then the other one is, let's see, AGI. All right. Okay, this one is Alamos Gold. Okay, this one's up 3.96%. The overall index for gold miners is up 2.3. It was up 3% about today. So it's definitely getting there. Okay, definitely getting there. Oh, we got 8 minutes until the close. All right, so I gotta hurry up and get through all this. So here you see this almost at $42 for GDX. So this is the ETF that tracks all the gold miners index. You'll see it hit there, and then we'll wait and watch what it happens. Silver and gold I talked about yesterday, so you can go back yesterday's stream and see that. And for my silver miner, EXK, okay, EXK is my favorite silver miner. Right here, we are fighting at this level at $4. So between $3.30 and $4.15. After that, we go back up to $4.80 into the fives. And maybe this is the time it'll break out, but maybe not. Okay, there's no guarantee of that right now. So EXK, okay? All right, let me play some videos for you. A couple more.
In your opinion, is this area right here an area of absorption?
Yeah, definitely. I was looking at this bar. This was our bar. This was the break. The initial break was this volume, right? And then we're retesting it here. And then now we're holding. And not only we holding, look how we go through this bar to the initial supply zone. We're gapping up.
Mm-hmm.
We're gapping up right into this next level of supply. It comes back, it retests. Demand is present again, and then you have the follow through to the upside. So that's trend. That's buying.
Yeah, we're gonna hit 3,000 with such speed, such a quick rate of absorption, going through this level and then coming out so aggressively.
All right, $3,000 gold. Watch for $3,000 gold. All right. Okay. Let me get my other video about gold. And this is a more long-term perspective.
Here, he's president and portfolio manager of the Permanent Portfolio family of funds. Michael, gold, it was strong, and then it kind of took some gains a little bit. And what's driving this latest move higher?
Yeah, good afternoon, Kelly. It's a little bit unusual that you have a strong dollar and gold rising at the same time. Generally, you don't see that. But I think when you look at global conditions, when you look at stickier than expected inflation, higher than longer interest rates, a lot of uncertainty with respect to fiscal policy here and abroad, global geopolitical uncertainty, strong central bank buying all around the world, and some countries trying to get together to create an alternative global payment system besides the US dollar. I think there's enough risk factors there to make gold not such a knee-jerk reaction to just interest rates per se, but a more comprehensive view for investors that have some in their portfolio.
And obviously, there's been a lot of central bank buying. That's a huge part of the story. Gold's up 41% over the past year. Silver's up 46%. And yet, and investors, longtime investors know, you go in something like Freeport-McMoRan, you're more likely to get a migraine than anything. So I'd love to hear the case for some of these miners now who, you think, why not just own the underlying?
In the short term, yeah. One quick comment on gold and silver. You had a period where there was a multi-year consolidation too. And so where really prices probably underperformed where they should have been due to other factors. And so there's been a little bit of a catch-up situation in gold and silver as well. But when you look at it longer term, there are reasonable reasons to expect over the long term that it's going to go higher. And investors should, decide if they want to have that in their portfolio. With respect to Freeport specifically, yes, we own it. It is a beaten down stock. It's a longer term. I think you have to be patient with it. But we believe that global growth will eventually grow. We do believe the demand for copper is going to be and probably is very strong.
Right.
Freeport's a very efficient producer. And they pay a very good dividend. They're great with shareholder returns. We expect revenues and profits to go up over the long term.
I'm just going to pick on them for one more second. Maybe the team in the back can show me like a 20-year price chart. But here's why. I remember writing about Freeport almost 20 years ago, Michael, and you can make all the same arguments for why you should hold them or why not. The shares then were around 50, and today they're around 37.
Yeah, and I think, this is a very commoditized name, obviously. So commodities are cyclical. They trade in a more cyclical nature than, say, up and to the right growth stock. And so I think what you tend to do is you want to get them when they're cheaper and then ride them and then decide how much of that you want in your portfolio. We have dedicated exposure to real estate and natural resources, but there's no question that the valuation is cyclical. The way they trade is cyclical. And so you have to, really, it's an argument for diversification, why you combine some of those kinds of companies with other types of companies in a portfolio.
Right, and you've got NVIDIA and Broadcom, Digital Realty Trust, so it's not like this is an obsession taking away from the other parts of the market doing well. Michael, we'll check back in soon. Appreciate your time today.
Oh, cyclical. You guys have to remember that when you do the commodities, right? I've been talking about a little bit about that, but natural gas too. So I think this year will be good for grains, good for natural gas, corn, soybeans, and then later on we'll have oil rise from latter half of this year, 2025 into 2026, and that'll be a big boom for oil. And then, yeah, we'll see how the copper and all the other ones will follow with it. So once those go up first, the soft commodities. So if you listen yesterday's stream with Samantha, that's what she said, soft commodities. Once you get the soft commodities, then you get the hard commodities, right? From soft to hard, very easy to remember. All right, don't need to take a goddamn rocket scientist to figure this out. All right. Now, let's see what else. I'm going to read 2 articles and I'll leave you guys. We have 2 minutes till the close. So whatever you guys have to do it quick. You have earnings, ARM, Qualcomm, QCOM. That will affect the NASDAQ. Then you have MSTR, right? Bitcoin, all that will be all in the after. And then we have COHR, Coherent. So I'm interested in that just because I want to see how that trades. And then I'll decide if I want to jump into AAOI. That's what I talked about. So as a trading stock, AOI is great. Buy and hold stock, not great. But if I can get from $24 to 40 something dollars in a month, I'm willing to take a risk there. Okay. Just like I did DNA yesterday. I told you guys, get DNA up 15, 16% today. All right. Let's go and do the articles, and then I'll leave you guys that. And this is about those psychedelic drugs. Okay. So this was on January 10th, earlier this month. Billionaire investor Antonio Gracias plots $100 million Lycos takeover with Dublin's backing. Dublins? I have no idea who they are. Billionaire investor, okay, we got that, has launched a bid to take control of MDMA drug developer Lycos Therapeutics via $100 million of funding and a closer alliance to its nonprofit progenitor MAPS, M-A-P-S. Who is Antonia Gracias? Gracias heads up Valor Equity Partners, an investment firm with more than $15 billion in assets under management. All right. AUM, that's an acronym for that. It accumulated that pile of cash in large part through early bets on companies related to Elon Musk, most notably being one of Tesla's earliest institutional investors back in 2005. And then a major investor in SpaceX. Those early bets on Musk generate huge returns as well as loyalty. Gracias has been described as the most hardcore of Elon Musk's loyalists. When the world's richest man was trying to line up loose change to acquire Twitter, Gracias passed the hat around his network. And once Musk took control of the social media platform, Gracias' firm Valor acted as something of an outsourced finance division, helping devise and implement Musk's sweeping job cuts and project its future financials. Since its early investments in Tesla and the like, Gracias has invested broadly via Valor, with some major allocations in the biotech field. Those investments include companies spawned by his pal Jeff Aronin, such as Marathon Pharmaceuticals, and later companies produced by Paragon Biosciences, a biotech company incubator that Aronin came to found. Aside from being an investor in many of Musk's ventures, among his most ardent supporters, the pair also appear to have enjoyed drugs together, including psychedelics. Last February, a media flurry described concern among Tesla board members regarding Musk's alleged drug use with other members of the Tesla board. The two board members mentioned at the time were Steve Jurvetson and Antonio Gracias, both major psychedelics advocates and donors. Big money is coming into Molly, DMT, mushrooms, everything. So that's why I told you guys about those two stocks last year. I'm thinking this is the year. Now that Elon's got his tentacles all over the White House and you got RFK in there, it wouldn't be too hard to see Elon and to manipulate RFK to pass everything and legalize all this stuff. And guess what? Those little penny stocks probably going to go up 1000x in the next 2 years. So you guys want to know what the next Palantir is? If you were around when I told you guys to buy Palantir 2 years ago, guess what? This is the new Palantir, the psychedelics. All right? So watch out. MNMD, ATAI. Watch those two. These two stocks are probably going to get you those gains in the next 2 to 4 years. All right? While the rest of the stock market just eats shit. All right. On that note, Gracias has funneled tens of millions of dollars into the psychedelics field through philanthropy. Those donations include $1 million to MAPS back in 2020 via its Capstone campaign and $16 million to Harvard in fall 2023 via his family foundation to establish the study of psychedelics in society and culture. He has also funded work at Imperial College London's Center for Psychedelic Research, the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. All right. I don't have a subscription, so that's all the article you can get. Now let's look at here. ATAI. This is January 28th. So this is what made me suspicious. How come last week We didn't have any pump at all. And then all of a sudden, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we've got nonstop back-to-back pumps on these psychedelic stocks. I'm still not sure. Maybe it had something to do with RFK saying something to Congress. No, I don't follow the news. I just look at charts. I just don't have time for it. Okay, ATAI reports positive drug data for psychedelic drug BPL003. Okay, this is January 2028. ATAI Life Sciences reported positive top-line results from a phase 2A study of the psychedelic drug. Okay, the study was run by Beckley Psytech, which plans. Okay, I don't know. This archive got screwed up somehow. Here, I'll just have to go back to the real article here. But I don't know if you need a subscription or not. All right, good. Okay, which plans to evaluate future development options for the product in the treatment of substance use disorders, according to a statement. BPL003 is a patent-protected synthetic intranasal formulation of the psychedelic drug 5-MeO-DMT. Additional data from the study is expected in 2025. Okay, Atai holds 35.5% stake in Beckley Psytech, along with a time-limited right of first refusal on the future sales of the company and an indefinite right of first negotiation for BPL003 and the drug ELE101. All right. Market's been closed for 5 minutes now. Well, this is about 1 hour. All right. Please donate to Porsche. Okay, Porsche J, $, PORSHAJAYE Cash App, and PayPal at PORSHA@jghb.info. And if you want to email me, go to GetCrack. All right, so CRACK@jghb.info. All right, and please hit the like, subscribe. And what we're gonna do later this month, I have a Substack set up last month, and I'm gonna start filling it out with a bunch of stocks and things and charts and stuff. And for any of you guys that have that inclination, we will go through it. And yeah, I'll probably work with Gary and try to clip some of the stuff I've already done, clip new things from videos that's outside our channel, try to make something so I can start doing more tutorials again like I did in October. But prepare yourselves for March, April. Things are going to get wild. There's going to be a lot of dip buying opportunities. So for you guys that are waiting to buy long, not this trading stuff that I'm doing left and right here, you're going to have to wait for March into April. Okay. All right, guys. See ya.
Feel like I should, feel like I should, feel like I should, feel like I should go. Go. Feel like I should go. Feel like I should, feel like I should, feel like I should, feel like I should go.